Hey guys, Mike from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I have a video for you today on this sheath system that I just finished for this Dark Timber Customs Comanche. Absolutely gorgeous knife. I love this thing. Really sad to watch this one leave the shop. It's probably in my top 2 or 3 favorite knives that I've ever handled. So I don't actually know what the blade steel or handle material are made of. So Osmond is my customer over in Norway. Osmond, can you comment down below? Let us know some details about the knife if you would. Or Peter Kohler, the maker of this knife, if you happen to see this video, please comment down below. Let me know. Let us all know a little bit more about this blade. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Peter does incredible work. I have one of his mid-tech honey badgers, and that thing is easily in my top few favorite knives in my personal collection. But even that, I think, kind of pales in comparison to the fully hand-forged, handmade knives. It's just a whole other level of beautiful. So anyway, I'll stop drilling now. But let me know what you guys think of this thing. So Osmond ordered not too long ago for me, and he had requested that I wrap his sheath in gator, as well as, or sorry, in the first order he placed with me, it was for a Lon Humphrey Retribution with a Lon Humphrey Bridger piggybacked on it. Both sheaths were wrapped in alligator skin. All the accessories on both sheaths wrapped in alligator skin. And on the Retribution, the bigger knife, there was my universal tech lock adapter, and on the Bridger there was a tech lock. That means that you can take your tech lock like so, and the adapter kind of shaped like this from above, you can kind of slide that tech lock into the adapter. It locks in place, giving you a modular piggyback system. So you can remove your smaller knife or clip it back in. And because this adapter works directly with the tech lock and not with the rest of the sheath, anything that has a tech lock on it can fit into that adapter. So he asked me, when he got this knife, he had it sent directly to me, asked me to build him another gator wrapped sheath, all accessories done in gator, tech lock, same setup as the Bridger, so that he'd be able to swap this out with the Bridger anytime he wanted to, piggybacking onto the Retribution. So that is what we've done here. Some of the cooler features on this, obviously we've got a compass down here on the front. I do a floated plate, a little bit of a gap in between the sheath and the plate, so that you can slip that jaw of the compass underneath it. The tooth of the compass should seat right down into that hole on the front of the sheath there, and that gives you a nice lower profile, a little more secure hold. You can also tighten or loosen the retention on that clipper by tightening and loosening the screws here on the back. You can see it will compress or expand those rubber washers in between the sheath and the plate. And you also have an Exo-Tac Fire Rod here. This is a really nice little fire starting system from Exo-Tac. It has a rod and a striker contained in it, and I've added some shock cord to make it so that you can have a light, easy draw while also very confidently retaining your gear and not having to worry about it falling out. Tech lock on the back, and down here we've got a drain hole. So drain holes, he likes drain holes. He asked me if I would do a drain hole on the other two sheaths as well. This one I decided to drill into place instead of forming. You can sort of like just tape a little wooden dowel or something to the tip of your knife and press the sheath, and it'll form with a little circular tunnel, natural drain hole there. I decided on this one I wanted to try drilling it and see if there was much of a difference. This does drain, I think, probably better than the other one, and I'm not really sure why. I don't really understand that, but it does work. It works really nicely, and I'm happy with that. You can see that the edges are very thick. I chose to use 0.125 or 1/8 inch thick Kydex, and that stuff is just super rugged. I made that decision for 2 different reasons. First reason is because normally with just a Kydex sheath, I would be adding some kind of plate onto the tip of this to reinforce it. I'd be using normally 0.093 Kydex and reinforcing it with a plate like this shape on both sides of it. When you're adding leather or alligator skin over the top of the sheath, you're not able to add those plates on in the same way. Excuse me. Some people will opt to add them, and it'll cost a bit extra, but sometimes it's not even possible because the thickness of the extra material on there puts the overall thickness too thick for the eyelets to work. So you'd maybe be able to use it Chicago screws to do it, but most of the time there's other things going on with the sheath, and it's just not practical to do those kinds of things. So in this instance, I use 0.125 because it's thicker. It's the thickest Kydex available, so that makes it as rigid, as durable as possible, as rugged as possible. And I also personally just really like using the thickest Kydex available. I started experimenting with this not too long ago, using 0.125 on even, you know, mid-sized knives like this one. I think this is probably about a 6.5 inch blade, maybe a 7-inch blade. So it's not a gigantic knife at all, but man, the retention on this is phenomenal, and the feel of the draw is absolutely stellar. So I'm a big fan of using that thicker Kydex, as long as I think you use it correctly. I mean, you could definitely sort of shoot yourself in the foot as a Kydex maker and make the retention difficult to deal with or something, but if you do this right, I think the thicker Kydex actually only increases the usability of the sheath. And there are some naysayers out there that are going to complain and cry, and what about the weight and things like that. To be totally honest with you guys, if I were to have built this exact same setup using 0.080, which is what most Kydex makers will use for a sheath, versus this 0.125, significantly thicker, almost a what am I trying to say here? Yeah, this is about a 1/16 of an inch thicker than the other stuff, if my math is correct here. Maybe that's not right. It's a lot thicker. Let's leave it at that. This is really thick, really rugged stuff. The difference in the weight between the two for a sheath this size, you're talking about maybe 1.5 ounces. It is not a big difference. However, the strength is a massive difference between the two. So it's for me, it's a no-brainer, but I would love your thoughts down below. So that's pretty much all I got to show you guys on this one. I think this came out really nice. This is American hornback alligator. This is the natural color of the alligator. I've just waterproofed it, which darkened it just a little bit, but for the most part, this is the natural color that you'd see on that sucker out in the wild. I just love this stuff. Let me know what you guys think of alligator skin. It's the top shelf, top tier option that I offer right now, but it is, I think, important to acknowledge that it is primarily just an aesthetic thing. It's style, it's a little bit comfort, but for the most part, it's just, you know, how does it look to you? I really love this stuff. I personally would spend the money on it, but that's really up to you guys. I'm not going to push you in any direction, but I'd love your opinions down below. Is it overkill? I know there's ultra practical guys that just want, you know, just a simple black sheath, whatever, you know, super low profile, etc., etc. They just want the practical, functional, whatever. And then there are guys that want to spend the money and get the premium option. The one really practical thing about this is that if you ever want to resell your knife, a sheath like this will bolster the value significantly. So just food for thought. But anyway, let's get a conversation going about that down below. I was very surprised to see over the last several months how many people have booked orders for gator wrapped sheaths. I didn't think it was going to be as popular as it is, but man, I've gotten a lot of orders for it, so clearly there's a market. So anyway, all right, that's what I got for you guys. Tell me what you think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and stick around for the next one. God bless.